Close your eyes for just 1 second. Think about where you are right now in life. Think about the dreams you once had, the ones that kept you up at night, the ones that made your heart race with excitement. Now ask yourself honestly, are you living those dreams? Or did you somewhere along the way put them on a shelf, cover them with dust, and whisper to yourself, maybe someday? Today, right now, in this very moment, is the day someday becomes today. You didn't stumble upon this speech by accident. Something inside you, a hunger, a restlessness, a voice that refuses to be silenced, brought you here. That voice is not your weakness. That voice is your greatest strength. And for the next 20 minutes, we're going to feed that voice until it becomes a roar so loud that fear, doubt, and mediocrity have no choice but to run. This is not just another motivational speech. This is a mirror. This is a moment of reckoning. This is the conversation you've been needing to have with yourself for months, maybe years. By the time these words are finished, something inside you will shift. A door will open, a fire will ignite, and you will never look at your life the same way again. So lean in, lock in, because what comes next has the power to change everything. Every single transformation in the history of humanity began not with action, but with a decision. A single burning, non-negotiable decision made in a quiet moment that changed the entire trajectory of a life. You must understand that decision is not a casual thought. It's not a wish. It is not something you do when conditions are perfect or when the timing is right. A true decision is a declaration of war. War against your old self, your old habits, your old limitations, and every version of yourself that kept you small. Think about every person you've ever admired. Every athlete who broke a record, every entrepreneur who built an empire from nothing, every individual who clawed their way out of impossible circumstances. None of them waited for permission. None of them waited for the universe to hand them a sign on a silver platter. They made a decision in the dark. They said enough when everyone around them said settle. They drew a line in the sand and refused, absolutely refused, to cross back to the side of average. The problem with most people is not a lack of talent. It is not a lack of opportunity. It is not even a lack of time. The real problem is that they have never made a true decision. They have made wishes. They have made half-hearted attempts disguised as decisions. They have committed conditionally, I'll try instead of I will. And that one word difference between try and will is the difference between a life of excuses and a life of results. You have to decide. Not tomorrow, not after the next setback, not when life gets easier. You have to decide right now. Every night you cried yourself to sleep. Every morning you woke up and couldn't see the point. Every moment the weight of life felt too heavy to bear. None of it was wasted. Not a single second. Because pain, when you stop running from it and start leaning into it, becomes the raw material from which extraordinary people are built. The greatest athletes don't become great despite the pain of training. They become great because of it. The greatest leaders don't rise despite hardship. They rise from the furnace of it, forged into something harder, sharper, and more resilient than they ever could have been in comfort. Comfort produces complacency. Pain produces character. And character is the one currency that never loses its value. Think about the most difficult season of your life, the one that broke you open, the one that brought you to your knees. Now think about who you became on the other side of that season. You are wiser, you are stronger, you are more compassionate, more determined, more self-aware than you would have ever been had you not walked through that fire. That pain did not destroy you, it developed you. The question is never whether pain will come. It always will. The question is whether you will allow it to make you bitter or make you better. Suffering is inevitable. Growth is a choice. Motivation is a spark. It is beautiful, it is electric, and it can light the darkest rooms in an instant. But sparks don't sustain fires. Discipline does. The greatest lie the self-help world ever told you is that you need to feel motivated to take action. You do not. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. The days you don't feel like it, the days the bed is warm and the world is cold and your goals feel impossibly far away, those are the exact days that define you. Consistency is unsexy. It is not a highlight reel. It is not the moment of victory that crowds cheer for. It is the 5 a.m. alarm nobody sees. It is the extra hour of work when everyone else has already quit. It is the quiet, relentless, daily commitment to showing up, not when it's convenient, but every single day without exception. The most successful people on this planet are not the most gifted. They are the most consistent. They understood early that small actions, repeated daily with unwavering commitment, produce results that appear miraculous to those watching from the outside. Think about compound interest, a financial concept most people understand but fail to apply to their own lives. A tiny daily investment, left alone to compound over time, builds extraordinary wealth. Your habits are no different. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are making a deposit into the account of your future self. Every workout, every page read, every hour of focused work, every moment you choose your long-term vision over short-term pleasure, all of it compounds. All of it accumulates. And one day, you will look back and realize that it was not one giant leap that changed your life. It was 1,000 tiny, disciplined steps taken when no one was watching, celebrated by no one, but carried out anyway. That is the discipline of consistency, and it is the backbone of every great life ever lived. There is a voice inside your head that has been lying to you for years. It speaks in your own voice, which is what makes it so convincing and so dangerous. It says things like you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not ready yet. It replays your past failures on a loop. It compares you to everyone around you and always concludes that you fall short. That voice is not wisdom. It is fear wearing the costume of reason. And until you learn to identify it, challenge it, and ultimately silence it, it will be the invisible ceiling on every dream you dare to reach for. The inner critic was not born with you. It was constructed, built piece by piece from the criticism of others, from early disappointments, from moments where you tried and stumbled, and a voice said, "See, I told you so." But just because something was constructed doesn't mean it is permanent. What was built can be dismantled. What was learned can be unlearned. You have the power to rewrite the narrative playing inside your own mind, but it requires conscious, daily, relentless effort. Begin by becoming the observer of your thoughts, rather than the prisoner of them. When the inner critic speaks, do not engage it as truth. Observe it as a pattern. Ask yourself, would I speak this way to someone I love? Of course you wouldn't. Then why do you tolerate that voice speaking to you that way? Every high performer, every visionary, every person who ever built something extraordinary did so in the presence of that same inner critic. But they learned to act despite it. They felt the fear and moved forward anyway. They heard the doubt and chose belief anyway. They were told by their own minds that they couldn't, and they went ahead and did it anyway. The inner critic does not disappear, but your power over it grows every time you refuse to obey it. One of the most underrated acts of bravery in human existence is the willingness to start over. Not the first time. The first time is exciting, full of energy and possibility. The real courage is in the second beginning, the third, the 10th, the beginning that comes after the public failure, the beginning that comes after you gave everything you had and it still wasn't enough. The beginning that comes when your knees are bruised from falling and your heart is worn from hoping, and yet something inside you rises and says, one more time. History is not filled with people who succeeded on the first attempt. It is filled with people who refuse to make failure the final chapter. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election before becoming the leader who shaped the nation. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter changed the world. These are not stories of talent. These are stories of relentless recommitment, of people who understood that failure is not a verdict. It is a redirect. The reason most people stop is not because they lack ability. It is because they have attached their identity to the outcome. When the outcome fails, they believe they have failed as a person. And that belief is the most crippling lie in the human experience. You are not your failures. You are not your setbacks. You are not the worst thing that ever happened to you. You are the person who lived through it, learned from it, and had the audacity to try again. Every time you begin again, you are not going back to square one. You are going back with experience, with wisdom, with a calibration that you did not have the first time. Beginning again is not defeat. Beginning again is the most powerful statement you can make to the universe. I am not done. The deepest human hunger is not for success, not for wealth, not even for love. It is for meaning. People can endure almost any hardship if they believe it serves a purpose. People can lose almost everything and still rise if they know why they are rising. Purpose is not a luxury reserved for the enlightened few. It is a necessity for every human being who wants to live fully alive rather than simply existing. But here's the truth most people are afraid to face. Purpose is not something that finds you while you are sitting still. Purpose is discovered through action. It is found in the doing, in the trying, in the failing and trying again. It emerges when you stop asking, what do I want from life? And start asking, what does life need from me? When you shift from consumption to contribution, from taking to giving, from self-focus to service, something awakens inside you that no achievement, no title, and no amount of money could ever replicate. Living with intentional purpose means making every decision, from the way you spend your morning to the relationships you invest in alignment with who you are truly meant to be. It means protecting your time the way you would protect your life, because your time is your life. It means refusing to spend your days building someone else's dream while your own gathers dust. It means waking up each morning with a clear answer to the question, why am I doing this? And making sure that answer is worthy of the one life you have been given. A life of purpose is not a life without pain or struggle. It is a life where the pain and struggle have meaning. And that meaning is what transforms ordinary human beings into extraordinary forces of nature.